Hello everyone! Some characters in Warcraft, they go on and take their place in the spotlight, doing amazing deeds and changing the world for the better. While others, they're there to guide them, to support them on the road of greatness, sometimes at a terrible price. Taretha Foxton is one of them, and if you like what Thrall has done for the Horde, for the world as a whole, then you should know her story. Let's begin with how Thrall came into her life to begin with. The Horde, they've been sold out by the Orc warlock Gul'dan to the Burning Legion in exchange for promises of power. Their people and the world are corrupted, and they're in need of a new one. Through the Dark Portal, they came to invade Azeroth, but some amongst them, they did not agree with the way things were going. Durotan of the exiled Frostwolf clan, he saw that their corruption, it spread through their generations, as his son Goel was also born with green skin. This was the last straw. He and Draka left their people in the Alterac Mountains to expose the truth to their longtime friend Orcrim Doomhammer. They all agreed that something had to be done, but before they could take any real action, the guards that Doomhammer had trusted to keep his friends safe, they were actually loyal to Gul'dan. The guards fell upon Durotan and Draka. The Frostwolves fought bitterly against the attackers, killing one of them, but the remaining guards struck them down, while Goel was left to die in the frigid cold. Left to die in the wilds, with his parents' dead bodies next to him. But this would not be Goel's fate. A day after his parents were murdered, there was a hunting party led by Adalus Blackmore. He is a human noble from the northern stronghold of Durnhold Keep, and he came upon the grisly scene. The sound of crying drew Blackmore's attention, and he found Goel starving and freezing, but alive. He decided to take him back to Durnhold with them and have him examined. There was no telling what secrets Blackmore might glean out of his new enemies by observing one of their young, not to mention that Blackmore, he had some ideas on how to use the orc. But first, the now named Thrall, meaning slave, he had to survive, except the ugly thing wouldn't eat, and he had grown pale and quiet over the last several days. The beast was dying, which had enraged Blackmore. The answer to his survival, that came from Taretha Foxton. Her father, Taretha Foxton, he'd been Blackmore's servant for 10 years now, and he was discussing Thrall's situation with his wife, who served within the kitchens. She had recently given birth to a baby boy named Ferelyn, who had woken up their daughter, crying to be fed. While listening in, Taretha thought that the answer was obvious. They were trying to feed a baby meat, but that's not what babies eat. They drink milk, like her baby brother. That's the way the orcs were viewed by many. So alien, so monstrous, that they didn't even consider that there might be similarities. From the mouth of the child came the answer, and after pleading with his wife, she was willing to feed Thrall as well. Thank goodness for Mistress Foxton and her swollen teats. Otherwise, Thrall, he might not have made it out of infancy. Now Blackmore, he was so pleased that riches were bestowed upon the Foxtons. Their room was exchanged for another, and then a larger quarter still. Temix got a horse named Ladyfire. Klania no longer reported to the kitchens. Taretha wore the finest clothes, and even got a tutor to teach her how to read and write like a lady. Sadly though, her little brother Ferelyn died of a fever, and when Thrall was old enough to eat a vile concoction of blood, cow's milk and porridge with his own small hands, the guards took him away. Taretha cried then. One brother had passed away, the other was now taken away. She got smacked for the effort and pretended to never talk about Thrall again. To the outside, she appeared to be the ever-obedient child, but she vowed that she would never forget that strange creature that had been almost like a younger brother to her. Never. With Thrall being able to sustain himself, Blackmore's true plans could begin. You see, Blackmore, he lived quite under the shadow of his father, Adalyn Blackmore. The father had become a pariah for committing treasons against Lordaeron, and Adalys believed that the leader still saw him as the son of a traitor, despite becoming a distinguished veteran of the Second War. When the first Horde invasion was defeated, the orcs that surrendered, they were placed within internment camps, leadership over the prisons that fell to Adalys, something that he considered to be a thankless job that held no glory. An insult from the Alliance leadership. But what if he could overthrow the Alliance and rule the world himself? Train Thrall as a slave gladiator, teach him to read, to write, tactics, to eventually rise up and lead his fellow imprisoned orcs in another war against the world. This one with Adalys Blackmore leading the charge. What if? And so, Thrall's horrible treatment under Blackmore began. A future leader, but still a slave. Something that Blackmore never let him forget. He was kept in his cell for so long that by the time that they brought him out to fight, he didn't even know what a shadow was. He was a natural fighter though, impressed his teacher, going by the name of Sergeant, a much kinder spirit than Blackmore was. Out in the courtyard, he spots what he assumes to be a female human. His eyes lock with the blue ones of the child. She did not seem frightened of his ugly appearance at all. On the contrary, she met his gaze evenly. And as he watched, she smiled brightly and waved at him, as if she was happy to see him. He couldn't understand how such a thing was possible. But the answer came when Sergeant, the man who taught him how to fight, but also the concept of mercy, he suggested to put those reading skills to use. Give Thrall some books, teach him about military history, to better understand tactics and strategy. The one ordered to bring him these books, that was Taretha. She looked every inch the obedient little servant girl. Only her parents knew how sharp her brain and tongue were hidden behind that deceptively sweet visage. As Thrall flipped open one of the books, something fluttered to the straw-covered floor of his cell. It was a small, tightly folded piece of parchment. Curious, he unfolded it, taking his time with his large fingers. It was a note.
Dear Thrall, Master B has ordered that you have these books. I am so excited for you. I did not know he had let you learn how to read. He let me learn how to read too, and I love reading. I miss you and hope you are well. It looks like what they are making you do in the courtyard hurts. I hope you are all right. I would like to keep talking with you. Do you want to? If yes, write me a note on the back of this paper and fold it back up in the book I put it in. I will come and see you. If not, keep looking for me. I'm the little girl who waved at you that one time. I hope you write back. Love, Taretha. P.S. Don't tell anyone about the note. We will get in big trouble.
With his nail, he opened up one of his wounds. With his own blood, he wrote down one single word. Yes. That was the beginning of many secret letters between Thrall and Taretha. Now don't worry, he didn't always use his own blood. Eventually, they also snuck in some material to write with. Either way, during the grueling training sessions and treatment from Blackmoor, these two, they found each other. Through her letters, Thrall's mind was opened to a world beyond his cell. A world of art and beauty and companionship. A world of food beyond rotting meat and slop. A world in which he had a place. He knew that Tori did not have a privileged life, not the way that Blackmoor did. She was a servant in her own way, as much in Thrall as the orc who bore the name. But she did have friends, and she was not spat upon, and she belonged. Thrall had no people of his own. The only thing that he had left to remind him of the days with his parents, there was a fraying square of cloth that bore the symbol of a white wolf head on a blue field. He could not just walk up to Blackmoor one day and tell him that he was done being a slave, that he was ready to find his own family, and so Thrall remained a slave and he fought his battles in the arena. Yet life for Taretha was no picnic either. She might not be thrown into the arena to fight, but she had her own battles all the same. To Blackmoor, she had been a lovely, obedient child, and with the years had matured into a lovely, obedient woman. Beautiful to be certain, and he had taken her as his mistress. On her wrist and around her throat, bruises were sometimes present. She hid them from the world, ashamed of doing something that went so against her own nature. But she did it all the same, for the sake of her family. When Prince Arthas visited Durnhold to check on what Blackmoor was doing, he also saw Thrall in action, and he was rather impressed, but also very worried. Orgrim Doomhammer, the warchief of the Horde when they were defeated. He'd escaped their captivity, and he was now roaming the wild somewhere. If Orgrim was able to escape, there was a chance that Thrall would as well, but Blackmoor assured him that the beast was under his control. As long as the royal coffers see their proper percentage of all earnings, they were permitted to continue these games. At the state visits, it lasted 5 days. During one of them, late in the evening, Taretha came to visit the prince in his private quarters. He was puzzled that his servant did not answer the tentative knock on the door, and was even more startled to see the pretty blonde girl standing there, carrying a tray of delicacies. Her eyes were downcast, but her dress was revealing enough that he didn't speak immediately.
My Lord Blackmoor sent me with this offering of things to tempt you.
Color suffused her cheeks, and Arthas was confused. He wasn't hungry. He didn't understand what she was doing here. The pink in her cheeks deepened, and she lifted her eyes to him. They were calm, resigned.
My Lord Blackmoor sent me with this offering of things to tempt you. Things you might enjoy.
Understanding burst upon him then. Understanding and embarrassment, and irritation and anger. He composed himself with an effort. It was hardly the girl's fault. Indeed, she was the one being ill-used. Arthas had a kind heart, and he accepted the food, but Taretha couldn't just leave. Blackmore wouldn't be too happy with her, so she was invited in by the prince, and after a while, she responded more with just a few polite words. They spent the next few hours talking, before they agreed that it was time to return. As she picked up the tray, she turned to him.
Your Highness, it pleases me so much to know that the man who will be our next king has such a kind heart. The lady you choose to make your queen will be a very lucky woman.
He smiled and closed the door behind her, leaning on it for a moment. So the games continued, and Thrall kept on fighting, earning great victories for his master. Blackmore had inherited his father's clever strategic mind, but he also had a taste for the bottle. One time, he had Thrall fight 9 matches in a row. 8 his pet orc had won, each victory bringing home more gold. The 9th was ill-advised though. Even Sergeant told Blackmore to let Thrall rest, that it was enough for today, but the drunken Dalis, he wouldn't hear it. Thrall was tired and injured, pitted against a massive ogre who kicked the absolute crap out of him. He beat him to an inch of his life. The fighters were separated, and Thrall was brought back to his prison. He expected healers to come, as they always did. Sure enough, he had lost his final match, but he earned victory in 8 of them, something that he had never done before. But the healers were not the first one to show up. A severely drunk Blackmore was pissed. 1,000 gold he had lost because of Thrall. Despite his injuries, Blackmore started to kick him, and he did not stop until the next group came in. A group of guards, they took their turn beating him up. This was the thing that broke Thrall. Broke the chains on his mind that bound him to a Dalis. Sergeant, he showed up as soon as he heard about the beating. He pulled the guards off an unconscious Thrall. Thrall himself woke up to the healers, and Sergeant gave him praise. Was impressed on how he had performed, but was already too late. He would not let himself be used like this any longer. Once he would have cringed and cowed to be better, to do something to earn the love and respect that he so desperately craved. Now he knew that he would never find it here. Not as long as Blackmore owned him. When he was alone, he reached for the tablet and stylus that he kept in his sack, and he wrote a note to the only person he could trust. Tori, on the next dark moons, I plan to escape. And she was there for him, of course, at great risk. A fire was started to distract the guards. A massive black cloak was waiting for him to hide him in the night. Thrall escaped the place that had kept him imprisoned for so many years and reunited with his sister in spirits. For 10 years, they'd been riding one another, and now she could finally hug him again. There wasn't a lot of time to talk though, but enough time to realize that her life with Blackmore wasn't easy either. The bruises, she explained them to him. Her eyes grew shiny. As he watched, liquid spilled from them and poured down her cheeks.
I'm so ashamed.
What is happening to your eyes? Asked Thrall. What is ashamed?
Oh, Thrall. These are called tears. They come when we are so sad, so soul sick. It's as if our hearts are so full of pain, there's no place else for it to go.
Taretha took a shuddering breath.
And shame. It's when you've done something that's so contrary to who you believe yourself to be. You wish no one ever knew about it.
But everyone knows, so he might as well too. She told him about being Blackmore's mistress. Outrage filled him, but she couldn't join him on his escape. Her life was here in Durnhold, while his journey was to find his people. She bowed her head and removed a silver chain from a long neck. Dangling from the delicate chain was a crescent moon. If he was ever here again, and in need, all he had to do was place his necklace in the trunk of the old tree, and she would again meet him in this cave and do what she could to help.
They call you a monster, but they're the monsters, not you. Farewell, Thrall.
While the days ahead of Tori, being a slave in Durnhold, seem endless, Thrall leaves her behind, carrying with him provisions, a map, and his most prized possessions, her necklace, and the letters they have written to each other over the years. Next week, we'll continue the storyline and find out what the future holds for Taretha Foxton. For now, thank you very much for watching, everyone. And of course, a big thank you to SilverLetomi for offering her lovely voice in bringing Taretha a bit more to life. I tried to do her lines myself, and trust me, you do not want to hear me try to seduce Arthas. You can find Letomi on the YouTube, where she has a massive catalog of all kinds of songs, including parodies for Warcraft, and on Twitch, where she streams often. Link to her stuff in the description down below. Until next time, guys. See ya!